Right now, I'm at home. I'm a mommy sitting, keeping company with my wife, who's still, Mrs. Pape is still asleep. If she wakes up, and I may have to interrupt in the middle, around 9 o'clock, but we'll see. So until now, we've been learning that the tremendous difference between a tzaddik and a Beinoni. The Beinoni is a person who is struggling to lead a righteous life according to Shulchan Aruch, and the struggle goes on day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute. Every second is a new encounter, a new skirmish. We see in the story of Yaakov and Esau, when Yaakov is returning to Eretz Yisrael, he's confronted in the middle of the night by a strange visionary person who tries to kill him, and they wrestle through the night. The commentaries understand this as a struggle between the tzaddik or between any Jew and his Yetzer Hara, and the Yaakov prevails in the sense that the dark stranger is not able to throw him down. At the same time, Yaakov holds on to him and continues to be engaged in the struggle until the dark stranger says, "Let me go." And he says, "If you want me to let you go, you have to give me your blessing." And it turns out that this dark stranger was in fact the guardian angel of his twin brother Esau, who sought to kill him. And he blesses him, and he gives him a new name, which is named Israel, Yisroel. That's where we come from. That's why we are called the Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel, from that encounter. And this is an archetype of the struggle of the Beinoni with the evil inclination. And the difference between the Beinoni and the Tzaddik is a huge difference. It was once described to me in these terms: the difference between the Rebbe and the Chassid is like the difference between the Chassid and the cat. It's like a different world altogether. The tzaddik is focused on Hashem with a tremendous love that is his sole delight in life, is to do something for Hashem and to be connected to Hashem.
Rabbi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And whereas
the other rabbi too, sorry.
Whereas the Beinoni only achieves this state of connection at certain intervals, like when he says Kriya Shema, or when he says the Shemona Esrei, and even then, only after proper preparation of meditating upon the greatness of Hashem, which he perceives with his eyes and with his intellect. And that's why we start off the day learning Tanya. And so now we came to this point in the chapter 14, towards the end. Now we're getting to the end about how Iyar said, "Hashem, you created tzaddikim." If he created tzaddikim, so where does our free choice come into play? We have to choose to be a tzaddik. How can we choose to be a tzaddik if Hashem created tzaddikim? And we said yesterday that we answered this by saying Hashem created a person with the potential to be a tzaddik. And that is everybody. We do on two levels. On one level, ultimately everybody is a tzaddik, like we say in the introduction, the Mishnah, with which we begin reading Pirkei Avos on Shabbos in the afternoon. You people, Hashem, your people are all righteous. We're all tzaddikim. However, on the second level, which is the practical, down-to-earth level of our day-to-day life, we only achieve that level of righteousness at certain times, and only after rigorous preparation, day by day by day. Now, where it says we're up to the point where the calendar in the margin should tell you the 22nd day of Teves or the 28th day of Teves, depending on which yearly cycle you're in. Okay. And now we can go back to the very first lines of the Tanya in the first chapter, where it says an oath is administered to the unborn child, the fetus, before he's born, Tehi Tzadik Al Tirashta. What does that mean? It means, the Iyar says, the Alter Rebbe, this is very surprising. Since they administer an oath that he should be righteous, why do they have to make him swear a second time that he shouldn't be wicked? Answer is the Alter Rebbe, Mishum she'ein kol adam zoicha liyes tzaddik. Not everybody merits to achieve this level of being a tzaddik. Some people are endowed with the potential to be a tzaddik. Some people acquire this as a gift. You only keep it with hard work, spiritual work. Ein adam mishpat habachira b'zeh kol kach. This isn't something, however, that we can choose to say, okay, today I'm going to have scrambled eggs, or tomorrow I'm going to get up early and come to class, or today I'm not going to talk on the telephone, or today I'm not going to have seconds. Just a minute, let me take this call. Hello? Yeah, I have it. It's open on the desk by my desktop. And that's why they administer the second oath, Al Tihi Rasha, do not be wicked. At least don't be wicked. If you can't be a tzaddik, at least don't be wicked. Shebazeh mishpat habachira, because here it is up to us to choose. This is something that we could choose. We could choose not to refrain from doing something wrong. That's something that's in our power. Everybody has the power over this. Limshal beruach taivasei, to rule over his desire for pleasure, to indulge in pleasures, lichavesh Yisrael, and to conquer the Yetzer Hara in this area. Shalei yeh rasha afilu sha'achas, because the Beinoni, he may not be a tzaddik, but he's never a rasha. If he's a rasha, he's not a Beinoni. It's either or. And if a person does a transgression, he is a rasha. Oh, so we don't want anybody to be depressed. There's no reason for anybody to be depressed and say, yeah, but Rabbi, I did so many averas. That's okay. You didn't know. As long as a person didn't know, he makes a strong decision. Well, I'm not going to do that anymore. And it's over. You leave it behind. Just don't go back. If you go back, then that is, you are willingly transgressing. That is the level of a rasha, a wicked person. But the Beinoni is never willingly a transgressor. Sometimes it can happen that something happens by accident. Someone goes to a restaurant, and the restaurant is a kosher restaurant, and they serve him food, and they come to him, "Oh, Rabbi, we made a terrible mistake. The food what we gave you wasn't kosher. That wasn't supposed to be served." Well, you have to take precautions. You shouldn't be in such a restaurant, but it could happen. You didn't do it deliberately. And on anything that goes wrong, you do tshuva. And what is tshuva? You feel regret. You make a strong decision. I'm not going back there ever again. And they test you. They put you in a similar situation, and you make the right move. And it's considered that you did tshuva. You'll never be punished about this. Limshel. So everybody has the power to rule over his desire for pleasures in life, and never to choose to do them. Like, let's say you had fleischiks for lunch, shepherd's pie. They serve you shepherd's pie with chopped meat in the middle, and that was at 1 o'clock for lunch. and comes 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you've been working the whole afternoon, you're tired, you want a cup of coffee, and just out of habit, without thinking, you put some milk in the coffee. Uh-oh, this is a major problem. You were still fleshik, and you just had coffee with milk. That's milk and meat together. That's when it's a major transgression. Look, a Beinoni won't do it. A Beinoni won't do it. A tzaddik could forget, and he does such a thing. Now he's got a. Now he's not a Beinoni. Now he's got a problem. He has to deal with him. What did Rabbi Gordon say? Houston, we got a problem. So a person can always choose. Therefore, we have to train ourselves very carefully to make the right choices. And that requires knowledge. We have to learn what the choices are, and we have to prepare ourselves to make them under pressure. So we have to be alert to do things that we're supposed to do, like, for instance, to remember to count Sirasaimer. And not to do things that we're not supposed to do, which is, for instance, like I just said, to have a cup of coffee with milk without waiting enough time after having meat with your meal. Tahainu, Talmud Torah shekeneged kulon, and this applies to all the mitzvahs that there are, including learning Torah, which balances against all the other mitzvahs together. Keneged kulon, that is to say, Torah weighs against all the other mitzvahs because it contains all the other mitzvahs. And then we learned also, just to review, if you want to turn back to the end of chapter 5, where he says there that mitzvahs are like clothing. Mitzvahs are like clothing that we wear on the outside. And Torah is like food that we take and we internalize. The same way we eat food and it becomes our life and energy. The Torah that we learn with concentration and retention until it becomes part of us and we connect with it and we become one thing with it, like 2 drops of water touch, they become one thing. When we learn Torah like that on all those 5 levels, then the Torah becomes a source of life. How is the Torah a source of life? Because the Torah has within it the wisdom of Hashem and the will of Hashem that's embodied in the Torah that we learn so thoroughly and so carefully and so intensely, and that becomes a source of life in us. And we saw this with our eyes. If you watch a Farbrengen with the Rebbe, you see the tremendous energy that the Rebbe puts out without eating. You can go hours at a time, hours and hours. And in the beginning, he'll have a piece of cake, have some wine and a piece of cake. In the end, he'll have another piece of cake, then take a siddur and say bracha achreina. And you wonder, how did he speak all these hours without any notes, without eating anything, without drinking in the middle even? We saw it over and over again. They used to say to the Rebbe, how do you do things so you accomplish so much? He said, well, some people spend a lot of time eating and sleeping. I do those things very quickly. A little bit of food lasts me a long time, and a little bit of sleep, I sleep quickly too. So it says there about Torah, the Torah is like a garment because we can't internalize. And we can't internalize, mitzvahs are like garments because we can't internalize it. You put a mezuzah up on the door. It's not inside of you. It's on the door. You wear clothes that don't have shatnez. They're on the outside of you. But you eat food. And similarly, the Torah that you learn, you internalize it with your feelings and with your intellect. So therefore, Torah is compared to food. And mitzvahs are compared to garments. And therefore, Torah weighs against all of the mitzvahs. Why? Because the mitzvahs are garments. And Torah is food. But Torah is also a garment. How is the Torah a garment? The Torah is something that's inside of us. It's our knowledge and our feelings. So the Alter Rebbe says, but it's also a garment. Because we learn Torah with our physical brain. We say the words of Torah with our teeth and our tongue and our lips and our breath. And even when we're just reciting words of Torah, like it's a mitzvah to recite the words of the Torah passage every week, 2 times, and the translation. In other words, you're learning Torah is not just concentrating on the meaning of the Torah. There's a mitzvah of learning Torah, just saying the words. And when you're saying the words, it's a purely physical activity. So it's a physical activity like any other, like putting up a mezuzah. So that learning Torah has in it both aspects, both nourishment and garments. So therefore, the sages said that learning Torah weighs against all the mitzvahs, because Torah contains all the mitzvahs, and Torah is itself a mitzvah. Continuing along, nonetheless, even though we've said that being a tzaddik isn't the lot of every person, it may be our lot just to continue fighting the Yetzer Hara all of our days and not to be tzaddikim. Nonetheless, says the Alter Rebbe, we have to try. We have to try. And how do we try? We have to have set times every day. And the best time is before you go to sleep at night. When you're so tired and you just want to go to sleep, then you take off 5 minutes to think about, what did you accomplish today? What goals did I have today in terms of Torah learning, in terms of doing mitzvahs? Did I accomplish them? How will I prepare myself so that tomorrow I'll do it better than today? And at this time also to think about the greatness of Hashem that we can perceive. Just look out the window. You see the world coming to life, and you understand that every leaf, every blade of grass, the stars in the heaven, the clouds in the sky, the moon and the sun, the weather, the winds, the ocean, the water, everything in the whole world is getting its life from Hashem the whole time. So obviously, I'm also getting my life from Hashem. And I want to be connected. I know naturally, I don't have to think about it even. Every person naturally wants to be healthy, wants to be well, wants to feel energetic, wants to feel that he's filled with life. And our desire to be connected to life is really a desire to be connected to Hashem. And by thinking about this, it awakens in us a love of life and a love of being connected to the source of life, which is Hashem. And we have to set times every day to think about this. Just a couple of minutes. Doesn't take a long time. It could take a long time, but it doesn't have to. And this keeps us on track. It keeps us focused. It keeps us connected to the right place. And this enables us little by little to become closer and closer to the ideal life, which is the life of a tzaddik. And what happens gradually, I hope you're following me with this, you get accustomed to seeing things differently. And things that used to be interesting no longer seem interesting. They seem foolish. They seem very low and devoid of meaningful content. And things that you didn't even think about become very interesting. And things you want to know about, and things you want to talk about, and things you want to share with your friends. And your whole view of life becomes very different. For instance, when you're a teenager, and your class may have had a party, and there were girls and there were boys, and you got together and you danced. You did all the latest dances together, and so on. And nowadays, if you would be an innocent, let's say you was an innocent young teenage party, so nothing really wrong was going on there. If you would be put in such a situation nowadays, you'd be very uncomfortable. No longer interesting to you. Not only not interesting, you don't want to be there because your whole attitude, your values have slightly changed because you have different things that you want to be connected with. And so little by little, you take on the attitude and the characteristics of a righteous person. So that's what the Alter Rebbe says here. A person has to set times every day, and to talk himself into the right attitude. For instance, he gives an example here that a person naturally has a desire for intimacy, physical intimacy. Okay, so what are you going to do about that? That's a natural human desire. have to set times to remind yourself that this is can be very delusive. How do you do that? So he gives a certain eitzah here, which is some people have problems with, to think about what people really are in a very low way, like to think that, like it says in Pirkei Avos, if a person will remember that the end of all the pleasures that he enjoys in this world is going to be maggots and worms in the grave, so then you're not going to be so interested in it. There was a non-Jewish artist when I lived in England. He started off in advertising, and one of the jobs he did was advertising toothpaste. So the ad began with a model, a beautiful person, and it said, "Look at this beautiful person. Well, you should know that the eyebrows are false." He took off the eyebrows. The eyelashes are false. The lipstick is false. The hair is false. The skin is, the only thing that's left was a scowl and a smile. You know, well, he lost the job, but he became a great artist. His work is in a lot of museums. But that's the mental process that you go through, that the sages advise us not to be seduced by the attractions and the lures of physical pleasure. Or another, there's something that's, everybody goes to a pharmacy. You go to a pharmacy to buy your medicine or to buy your soap or your shampoo or whatever it might be. When you check out, there's all these magazines about the movie stars. So the movie stars are supposedly very attractive. And especially a young person would like to be beautiful, like the movie stars, or handsome, like the movie stars, or to have companions like that. But then you look at, you see they're always, first of all, they're very immodestly dressed. So that kind of attractiveness, is a false attractiveness, because their relationships are always, you always see this one is divorced, and this one is divorced, and this one is divorced, and this one has a new friend. And so you see this, it's a very false kind of life. So you understand, and you remind yourself, and you get it into your head that this is not an attractive way of life, and you don't want it. And just one time is enough. You think about, can think about these kind of thoughts regularly, so that they don't become attractive to you. And all the delights of this world, the wise person sees what will come out of the end of things. So when what comes out of the physical delights of this world, the Viennese tables of this world, seifan lirakaif, in the end, they all decay and rot. Liyasrima ashpa, they end up in the garbage pail with maggots. Vahevech, and the opposite to this is lisaneg lismayach b'Hashem, to take one's delight in a godly idea, in a beautiful thought, an inspiring story. Think of the story I told you yesterday about the child who swallowed the open safety pin. Now the doctor couldn't deal with the situation without performing serious surgery. The child would never recover for the rest of his life, probably, from such surgery. And the Rebbe, who in his tremendous wisdom, gave him such a simple solution, which was to insert a magnet down the throat of the child to extricate, to take out the dangerous pin that was stuck in his throat. So that's a very inspiring story, and it makes you very happy to hear that. One, that the child's life was saved makes you happy. Two, the brilliance of the idea makes you happy. Three, the idea that you have a connection with such a brilliant tzaddik makes you happy. Four, that the teacher told you the story also makes you happy. Al yedei his beinenus, and so when a person meditates on the greatness, godless, the greatness of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, in as much as we're capable. We also, the same way, have to set times to psych ourselves up that we're not interested in the desires and the pleasures that the world, the advertisers of the world, always want us to run out. You think of an advertising magazine, all the fancy magazines where it costs tens of thousands of dollars to put an ad, or hundreds of thousands of dollars to put an ad, full-page ad in these magazines. What do they advertise? They show you a beautiful home. They show you a very handsome man, a very expensive car, And in the corner, they also show you a package of cigarettes that you should buy, or a bottle of liquor that they want you to buy. In other words, they're showing you things that are suggesting to you, if you want to have these things, the beautiful man, the beautiful woman, the beautiful house, the beautiful car, then buy these cigarettes, buy this liquor, and it'll all be yours. So you convince yourself, you have to psych yourself up that you're not interested in this nonsense. They're just trying to fool you and take your money. You have to train yourself to delight and rejoice in Hashem by reflecting as much as you can on the greatness of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. Even though a person knows in his own heart that you know in your heart you're not around, you know you're not 100% righteous, you're not the tzaddik that we've been speaking about, who has no Yetzer Hara, but through and through, you're only just imagining what it might be like if you were constantly on such a level. Nonetheless, says the Alter Rebbe, don't be downhearted, don't be dejected. Nonetheless, it's our job to do whatever we can in this direction. We have to try our hardest to fulfill the oath that they made us swear on page 1 before we started learning the Tanya, before, when we're still, the neshama was still unborn, and then the unborn neshama had to swear this oath to be tzaddik, to be righteous. So we have to try. You know, there's a famous teacher in Chabad. I learned from him, many others learned from him, thousands of Bachrim learned from him. Very sweet, wonderful person named Rabbi Pinchas Korf. Passed away last year from the corona. And at one point in life, he was teaching Tanya outside of Crown Heights, and some wild young people objected to him teaching Tanya in their community. They kidnapped him. They broke his bones, literally broke his bones, cut his beard, and they were apprehended, and there was a trial. And the judge asked these people who did it, "Are you religious?" They said, "We're ultra religious, Your Honor, ultra religious. It was religious as you can be." That's what they said about themselves. Then the Rabbi Korf took the stand, and the judge asked him also, "Rabbi Korf, do you consider yourself religious?" He said, "I try." He said very humbly, "I try." So that's what the Alter Rebbe is saying here. That our attitude has to be, if we can't be righteous, at least we have to try. Hashem will do whatever he understands is the right thing to do. So we have to try our best, and Hashem will do what he sees is right for us. Like as we have described this morning, to a certain degree, by continually trying, you get used to it. Like an athlete who trains himself to do certain moves and certain maneuvers and certain acrobatics, nasa tabasheni, until it becomes like second nature, like learning to ride a bicycle. It just becomes second nature. Limas esara, and when a person accustoms himself to not desiring anything that Hashem considers bad, it won't be interesting to you. So when your friends say, "Oh, let's go do this," or "let's go that," you say, "I'm sorry, I'm not interested." A little bit, it'll be sincere. So basically, you train yourself not to want something that Hashem doesn't want, but in the end, to a certain degree, you fulfill what it says in the sages in the Pirkei Avos: let a person make his will to be like Hashem's will. And it really does become your will, at least a little bit. So nafshe b'Hashem, excuse me. And when a person accustoms himself to taking pleasure in Hashem, then Isserus Tato, I think I skipped the line here. Oh yeah, how do you take pleasure in Hashem? Through meditation, like we described about the greatness of Hashem. Then through repeated effort, day by day, evening by evening, Hare V'Isserus Tata, that means through your own efforts, that's Aramaic, through your efforts down below, you awaken a response from on high. That is, Hashem will reply to your efforts. And who knows, maybe, perhaps, Yara Olav Ruach Mimorim. Now, this is something extraordinary. The Alter Rebbe describes as something absolutely mystical and extraordinary and fascinating. And when a person tries and tries and tries to be righteous, but maybe it wasn't said about him before he was born, to he righteous, to he tzaddik, you should be righteous. So he can't be what he can't be. But you know what Hashem can do? Hashem can connect him with someone who was righteous. And their two souls become connected. This is really amazing. And we have an example of this. In the Rebbe Maharash lived like 50 years, and his name was Shmuel. And there are all kinds of extraordinary details about his birth and his naming. And his father kept on pushing off the naming of the child until somebody with the name Shmuel, who was a simple person, the world thought so, in a village, he had to pass away till the name Shmuel could be given to the Rebbe Maharash as an infant on the day of his bris. And clearly there was a transmigration of his soul. That soul of that hidden tzaddik became connected with the baby who had the same name, Shmuel. And the Navi Shmuel also lived only 52 years. So there was a connection of the neshamas. And so what he said, the Alter Rebbe is saying here, is that when a person tries so hard to lead the life of a righteous person and to focus his mind in the right way, that he can be connected even mentally and emotionally with righteousness, then Hashem can actually connect his soul with the soul of a person who was a righteous person. There you have it. V'yizka lebechinas ruach mishoresh eze tzaddik shetisaber boy. So a spirit from on high could be connected to him, and we have different levels of the soul. You have nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, yechida. So he says here the ruach from the source of a righteous person, a tzaddik, can be connected, impregnated, so to speak, in the soul of oneself. La'avodas Hashem b'simcha, that not only should you meditate about how you should serve Hashem with joy, but you can actually serve Hashem with joy. Amitis, and it will be true joy. And that's why King David writes, and we say this in the davening, Simchu tzadikim b'Hashem, let righteous people rejoice in Hashem. Why didn't it say let the righteous person rejoice in Hashem? Why does it say let the righteous, meaning plural, rejoice in Hashem? Well, simple meaning is because righteous people, whoever they are, they should all rejoice in Hashem. But if a person takes this personally, so why does it say let the righteous ones rejoice in Hashem if it's only talking about me? Because maybe I could be connected to a tzaddik who's really a tzaddik. And his righteousness and my righteousness should combine, and together we should serve Hashem. And with this we conclude with Tiskai and Boy Be'emes, and in that way a person is able to fulfill truthfully, really truthfully, Hashavua, the oath that was administered before he or she was born, Mashbi might say to tzaddik that they should be a tzaddik or a tzaddikas. And with this, we conclude chapter 14. We will return to you. A very exciting chapter.
Yay! Let's have a see him.
And let's start, move right on with another 9 minutes of the class. Well, but chapter 15. Now we can understand, okay, here we go. This is going to be a little bit of a brain teaser. A little bit complicated to understand. Here's a pasuk. Little number 1 in the text tells us the pasuk is from the Prophet Malachi. Ushavtem, you should return. Re'isem, you should behold. The difference between tzaddik l'rasha, between a righteous person and a wicked person. Between Oved Elokim, someone who serves God. L'asher le'avadu, and someone who has not served. So the Tanya goes on to say that the Talmud asks questions on this because it seems repetitious. Because really, this verse is talking about two people who are both righteous. So if they're both righteous, why does it say one serves and one doesn't serve? And the Tanya begins to explain. Shahefresh bein Oved Elokim l'tzadik. A person who serves God is an Oved, a servant, a person working at being a tzaddik. Oved Elokim hu she'oved hu lashon haiba, meaning it's an ongoing process. He's working, he's constantly coming up with new ideas and pushing himself to new levels. Shehu be'emtza ha'avayda, he is in the middle of his service. That seems to be describing what we have said is the Beinoni. But remember, the Beinoni leads a righteous life. He doesn't do anything wrong. Shehi ha'milchama im ha'yetzer hara, he is fighting his yetzer hara. This Gaber Alav is struggling to overcome him, like Yaakov struggling to overcome the guardian angel of Esau. And he is struggling to chase the evil inclination out of his heart. Like a country that was invaded, and they're trying to chase the invader out of the country. You don't want the invader on any portion of your land. You don't want the Yetzer Hara to have any place, any haven in your heart where he can hide, where he can hang out, where he can continue with his insinuations. This is a tremendously difficult task. It requires unrelenting struggle. Constantly to be fighting with the negative Yetzer. Isn't that this description of the Beinoni that we have been describing all along? That's an Oved, a person who is serving. The tzaddik is called a servant, not one who is serving, one who has served. Now he's a servant. It's like a prince. The prince, when the king passes on, the prince becomes a king. He's no longer a prince. He's a king. So the tzaddik is no longer struggling like a Beinoni. He's a tzaddik. He got there. It's like you would say he's a king. He's a wise person. He has achieved wisdom. He has achieved sovereignty. He's a master chess player. He's a master musician. He's achieved a level. He doesn't have to struggle there anymore. So the word tzaddik is a description of his level. Like he gives the example, a wise person, a king, shekvar na'aseh chacham. I mean, he has become a wise person. He has become a king. Kach, in the same way, zeh kvar avad, this person who's the servant, called the servant of the king, he's completed his service. He's finished with the war. The war is over. The Yetzer Hara has been conquered. Like David HaMelech says, he killed the Yetzer Hara through fasting. He chased him away. He's banished for good. His heart is empty. There's no Yetzer Hara lurking in his heart anymore. Okay, I'm going to stop there. It's 3 minutes before the time. Before we start the next subject, we'll continue from here tomorrow. Bezras Hashem will be back together in Machon Liyados, 825 Eastern Parkway. Thank you very much, everybody.
Rabbi Pape.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Chana. Bye, Yaira. Bye.
Thank you.
Lavana.
Thank you very much.
Bye, Mushka. Bye, Sarah Mara.
Thank you.
Thank you.